You're listening to Mixing Mindsets. I'm Andrew Blank.
And I'm Eric Navrosky, and we hope you find some value out of these conversations about lifestyle, music, and more. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about being your genuine self.
I think that's just a great rule of thumb.
It is.
For life in general.
It is. It's absolutely a great rule of thumb for life.
I think there's something about if you are your truest self and it being as real as you could be under every circumstance, I'm just a firm believer in the fact that life is going to turn out well for you. You may have some ups and downs, but ultimately you're going to get where you need to be.
Right.
Being your real truest self.
Right. And discovering your real truest self is probably where people find the most challenge.
Absolutely.
In that, there's obviously people who know who they are and who they want to be, but then live something else because they're trying to appease whoever they're around. But I genuinely find more people in my circles and the people that I'm around who are struggling finding who they are.
Absolutely.
And who they want to be and their drives and their passions in life.
Right.
And that took me a while.
Yes.
That took me a long time. And I remember very specifically, I've talked about this in the past where I had the studio and it never really was the thing
right
at the time. I just had it because I was like, well, I guess this is fun.
Yeah.
Do this as a hobby or whatever.
Exactly.
And it changed so much to being who I am.
Yeah, it's
at a core.
Ultimately shifted who you were at your foundation.
Yeah, yeah, and so I've learned my genuine self because of different experiences in life, and I've also learned how important it is to genuinely be a genuine person.
Yes.
Right. And that sounds so redundant and hilarious because of the wording.
Yeah.
But man, when you start treating people with, I'm going to say genuine way too much in this episode.
It's okay.
But when
it needs to be said.
When you start treating people genuinely, they notice. And I think that transcends conversation.
Absolutely.
I think that is a feeling.
Someone's able to tell almost immediately.
Yeah.
There's just this emotive quality to this guy's being real with me versus this guy's trying to, be nice to me now. Maybe might have thoughts about me, me later on, or he's trying to sell me something or this and that. You're able to tell within the first, 10 seconds of conversation almost.
Yeah.
It's almost in the way the person approaches you and their demeanor overall.
You feel
initially. It. Absolutely.
Yeah. You feel it and you're like, you're not this.
Exactly.
You're not
and I
this.
think, there's something you hit on a big point where experience in time ultimately is going to dictate the person that you want to become.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I think for our audience, I feel, at least in terms of self-reflection on myself, I always feel like I'm trying to find out who I am. There's always something to discover for me. I feel like
you think you're still there.
I think I'm still there, but I think I might. I have always take on the person the thought process of it's a permanent thing because I always want to learn and experience more.
This is the cliche of journey versus destination.
Absolutely.
You basically came to terms with and learned that you love the journey.
Yes.
And there is really no destination until you're dead.
You're just happy to be on the journey.
Yeah, because you're always learning something new and you're always progressing further, in your self-actualization.
Yes.
I guess.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a big thing. One of the biggest things I've heard from, I always try to take tidbits from motivational speakers
right.
or anything like that. I always just try to take advice from everything, every scenario that I'm self-aware of.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I've realized is that this sense of progress in life tends to dictate my overall happiness and genuineness.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There's something about okay, I'm constantly evolving here.
Yeah.
But that through that I'm understanding who I am.
Right. And I bet that you feel very uncomfortable like in a bad way, when you might feel like you're not seeing progress.
Right.
And I resonate with that.
Yeah.
Like
there's
very
this,
much.
There's this stagnant feeling.
Yeah. And I'm literally in that right now. So at the time, that we're shooting this, we're building a new studio.
Yes.
And it's awesome. And I'm insanely excited, and it's going to be so sick.
Right.
But there are pieces to this puzzle, this door and this window that I've been
it's a physical door and window, not a metaphorical one.
Yeah, physical door and window that take 10 to 12 weeks to build.
Yes.
I'm not in that building process. I have no idea what's going on.
Yep.
I'm in that waiting process, what feels like no progress.
Absolutely.
And that makes my mind go nuts.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, there's no progress happening here. And like, I know that there is sort
in
of
the big
because
picture,
I trust somebody that they're not lying to me.
Exactly.
But man, that waiting and just like feeling that there's no progress is very tough. Is very tough to deal with. And I like that you do that, that you came to that realization that it isn't really about the destination, it is about a journey.
Right.
Because that really helps in that situation too. When I try to think of like, okay, there are other things happening at this point in my life. Like my life is not this door and this window.
Right.
Like it is, because it's the studio, but it's also so much, there's so much other things going on in my life between my family and, my wife and just all this other beautiful things that happen. I don't need to fixate on certain things, like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that ultimately, like to circle back into like the sense of being your genuine self, reiterating on what I said before, your experiences and just the understanding that it takes time to figure these things out.
Absolutely.
And there are little steps along the way and little milestones that ultimately will lead to that sense of finding your genuine self, or what you believe to be your genuine self, because you're always progressing over time.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was just kind of like this foundation of for me, I guess it also tends to come from this place of always trying to like seek out happiness.
Right.
Like what is going to create that internal like happiness within me.
Right.
And so I've always just been, I guess relationship building is a big thing.
Absolutely.
The friends and your loved ones and everything like that. You build through that, and then you ultimately have a work related goal. What you want to do, and whether that be like through hobby, whether that be a hobby that you want to be progressive with, or ultimately like a career goal. And I don't just the combination of those two things.
Yeah.
And constantly building on that.
Yeah. And to bounce off of that, I think on a very foundational level, and this is, very personal, I guess, to myself, and maybe some other people feel differently, but for me, I truthfully believe that we are built for other people.
Yes.
I believe that a huge purpose for myself to be on this world is to help other people through this life, basically,
absolutely.
and to leave a positive influence and positive impact on someone's life, which is kind of a huge motivational factor for me in this studio, or sorry, not the studio, the podcast.
Yeah.
I want someone to listen to this and say like, hey, I feel like I pulled something out of that.
Right.
That really helps.
Absolutely.
And if I can create a positive impact on somebody, that makes me genuinely happy.
Yeah.
And
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just think there's a big thing. You just touched on a big point in regards to just helping other people. Like if your intentions, if internally your intentions are pure, in regardless to anything that you want to do and pursue, that speaks volumes to your genuine self, and ultimately will help build the person that's best suited for you. As opposed to like, I think people sometimes don't realize that if you are rooted in this very like deceptive, like I need to look a certain way, I need to be telling these certain things to people in order to advance in the moment. I think that like actually
you're not playing the long game.
Yeah, that actually like internally seeps into who you are, and to the point where like you become this shadow of a person. Yeah, like where like you're not, you can't even visualize what that genuine self is, because it's all these external factors became a humongous factor in creating this almost like this robot.
Yeah. And I think the whole point of being like your genuine self is because like we all want to be liked.
Yes.
We all want to.
Everyone wants to be socially accepted. Yeah.
Of course. And we, nobody truthfully wants to be like hated, and we all want to be a part of that group. And I think when you are being your genuine self, you are creating that environment for that to thrive. Yes. You're creating the environment for you and yourself to find the people that you like really connect with, that you really fit with. Right. If you're not being that person, then you're gonna, you link up with these people and you're like, I don't know, I never really, they're my friends, but they're not really my friends.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, time ends up being the biggest factor in that, at least from my own perspective. Right. Through my own lens, I've come to realize now at 27, like I'm seeking out genuine happiness. Yeah. Like it's no longer like I could care less about the facade of things. Oh yeah. There's just versus like the 13-year-old me who was exactly just like, 13-year-old me was in MySpace age. Like I have to have the hair that flips over the eye. Got to wear all black. I got like there's exactly. Yeah. There was like I don't know. There was just this whole different ideal, and I didn't know at the time. Like I didn't know what I wanted at that age. I didn't know what I wanted at 13, 23. I barely know what I wanted at 27, but but I think now through that time, I think I'm just very glad to feel that I'm at least aware of the things that I don't want. Yeah. And that there's a lot of external factors that I had to experience along the way in order to get to this point. Like I just had to realize that like, social acceptance isn't everything. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so funny because I do feel like once you start living more genuinely, right, you just naturally run into social acceptance. Yes. You naturally find the people that you click with and you're like, oh, this is great. Right. Like
do what you like to do.
Yeah. Like I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm not, and I'm just enjoying the company that I'm around. And yeah, that does take time to fall into. And like, obviously, it's funny because you and I have been friends, sort of, not really for a little bit, but then, the longer that time progressed and the more that we just started going our path and being the persons that we are, the more that we were just like, oh, you're a cool guy.
Everything just kind of worked itself out. Absolutely. Yeah. And you touched on before, like that's a big reason why this podcast even exists. It's because we both realized that we foundationally want to help others. Yeah. And we foundationally always want to feel progressive in the sense that like there's this weird sense of like fulfillment within me about being motivational and being almost like almost being like cheesy positive. Like, that like I actually like get like a little bit of a high off of that. Oh my gosh, about like okay, let's just be happy. Yeah. Like and I don't mean like butterflies and rainbows, like everything's great, but really I'm like internally like taxed on the inside. Yeah. I mean like no, like I'm actually stoked on life, and that's
and that like, dude, it truthfully becomes who you are eventually. Yes. Like there are times where sometimes it is difficult to be positive. It's difficult to be like that, but when you think of long term, you think of long game, the more that you're saying like I'm gonna be like this, and I want to be like this, the more that you eventually become like that. Absolutely. And that works both ways. If you're constantly negative and you're constantly living in this bad negative environment, you're gonna stay there and you're gonna be like that.
Yeah.
And if you keep telling yourself like, I can't do it, or like
Right.
and I try to be motivational. So if somebody says, I would love to do music for a career, but I can't do it, well, no, you can't do it, because you
Right.
are immediately setting yourself up for failure like that. And you literally can't do that. You have to say like, I can do this. This is possible.
Right.
Might not be happening right now, but I'm going to take the steps to do it.
Right.
And you start living the person that you want to be and the life that you want to live. I know some people in my life who don't love what they do,
Yeah.
and that's a very painful experience. And I'm very grateful for my own path, because I don't feel like I took steps into doing something that I didn't want to do just because it was the safer route, or it was the thing that made more money,
Yes.
or whatever. I was more genuine to myself, and I said, well, you know what? I want to do the studio.
Right.
I want to do music for a career, so I'm going to do it.
Absolutely.
And just like living true to what I kind of believe I was sort of built for and called to, like I do feel like I have a sort of natural ability
Yeah.
to it. And again, I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to come
absolutely.
across as this, but I think on your side of things, your songwriting, you have a natural ability to it that it sort of feels like a calling,
Right.
which sounds maybe cheesy,
Right. And
but it does feel like
exactly. And
just-
everyone like needs to realize that like this didn't happen overnight by any means at all.
No, absolutely
I mean,
not.
like, yeah, exactly. Like you have to work toward these things, and they happen over time.
Yeah.
But I think once you realize and you see them for what they are, and you realize you actually have a deep-rooted love and appreciation for it,
Yeah.
it just prospers over time and becomes natural, if you will.
yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Like, but everything takes work in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
everyone needs to realize that. But it's just building the habits,
Yeah.
and then going beyond the habits, and it's just like, okay, this is basically who I am at this point.
Yeah. One of my major turning points in life, I think I was somewhere about like 18, like high school, leaving high school area of my life. And I said to myself, and I have to look at this in a very specific way because this can come across terrible.
Yes.
But I said to myself, I need to stop caring.
Right.
I need to care less.
Yeah.
And to elaborate on that, it's not like I stopped showering, or
No,
I
exactly.
stopped pushing and striving.
I know where you're coming from.
Exactly. I said, I need to say, this is who I am and this is what I want to go for. And I'm going to do it. And I don't care what anyone says.
Right.
And that moment was when I was like 18 years old.
Yes.
I said to myself, I want to do this.
Yes.
I'm not saying I did do that.
Right.
I'm saying I want to do this.
Right.
And this is where that time comes in. Like I'm 28 now. So
Yep.
this is a decade later where I probably didn't really start truthfully doing this until I was maybe 24, 25 years old. So it took me from like 18 to 25 to live by that motto of like, yo, I don't really care what people say.
Yep.
Like if somebody says, oh, you're dumb for this and you're whatever for that, whatever.
Yep.
This is who I am and that's fine. And,
Exactly.
and we don't mesh, but somebody else does.
And just being the age I am now, the realization that the earlier people realize that, the better off they are.
oh yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's a very difficult thing.
It is.
do.
It's such a massive internal conflict.
Yeah.
That like truthfully, I think it was. You said 18 for you. It was probably way later in the game for me.
Oh, really?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just coming from the because I
Like
knew
18 and a half.
probably like we're talking like, borderline 19.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
but
you're really
like-
pushing it.
But really, like I had the same thought process of just like I need to stop being so uptight about certain things.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah. Because you care so much about, the way I look or the way I dress. And like, not that stuff isn't important, because I do believe it is. It's a form of expression. You can care about that stuff.
Yes.
It is okay.
if that's who you are, go for it.
Yeah. Like it's
if-
cool to care about that stuff. It's fine.
If you genuinely care about the way you look and you're actually passionate about that, I hope that you are pursuing that in some way, shape, or form.
yeah. Like a form of like fashion
Yes,
or some
like exactly.
kind of potentially modeling or whatever.
100%. Yeah.
Something
I'm just such a huge advocate for like people just need to find their genuine self and somehow utilize it and like morph it into your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. You have to find that thing that you were quote unquote built for.
Yes.
Which all of this sort of can come across as like this, cheesy, happy, like you gotta do it and all this other stuff. But there's so much truth in it.
Yeah.
And there's so much truth in like, you gotta find that thing that you were built for, that thing that you love, the thing that makes you happy. And you need to run head first at it.
Yes. And I think like the more I think about it, like using the term like cheesy.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like I look at it through the lens of a negative perception. If
like
someone called something cheesy, it's
Yeah.
just like, you're calling this cheesy because you haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of feel bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like the natural human way.
Yes.
To sort of feel that way.
Right.
And it's pushing beyond that.
Yeah.
That is the goal.
I have this image in my head all the time because I
Is
saw
it
it like
taco?
a month. No, it's
I'm
actually
just thinking about
even-
tacos. all the
I saw it like a month ago and I can't get it out of my head. Now that we keep talking about negative and positive.
Right.
Literally
A battery. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No. But literally, so I'm scrolling through my phone,
Yeah.
and I told you I watch a lot of like motivational kind
Right.
of things. They show up on my feed all the time. So the cookies and everything tracing me all the time. There's just a lot of motivational stuff that shows up on my feed.
Yeah, right.
Well, it was literally Snoop Dogg.
All right.
So and extremely intelligent man, like, but he was talking on this subject, and it was literally just a 15-second clip.
Right.
Snoop Dogg in an interview, and he just very philosophically goes, "Why is it why is it that it's so easy to be negative, but so difficult to be positive?"
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like the realest thing I've heard in a very long time. Thanks, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I think
blunt.
It's human nature. It's human nature to be negative, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and
it's
this
rooted
is
in who we are.
This is a very foundational thing for me. Being a Christian and being someone who follows the Bible to a T. And I believe that human nature is negative.
Yes.
And human nature
Humanity,
is
for some reason, is foundationally negative.
Yeah.
And you have to fight to get out of that negativity.
And I think when you actually do fight that, man, your quality of life just skyrockets.
Everything changes.
And that's so hard for people to do. It's so hard for people to do, and I think
It's
the best way that you could do it,
rewiring of the brain almost. It's like,
a little
it
bit.
sounds like an impossible task, but
it's doable.
Yes.
The way that I've achieved this was through the Bible, was through Jesus, was through God. I follow all these tenets because I truthfully believe that we should treat everybody
yes,
with respect and kindness. We should be living for other people. Like the reason that I live the way that I live is because of because I believe that I should be living like Jesus.
Right.
And like that, to me, like living my genuine self is living for God, and in turn living for other people.
Absolutely.
Living to help somebody's life and to leave a positive impact on somebody's life.
Yeah, and that speaks volumes, whether you're spiritually sound or not. It's
Yeah.
just, there's something about wanting to leave a positive impact that just makes all the difference. And however you can get yourself there, and I know it's such a difficult road for. It was for myself personally, and still I still have those battles every single day. But like whatever, you have to fight whatever fight you need to fight.
Yeah.
To get to that point of positivity. But man, you find your real self and you thrive.
Yeah.
From there on out,
Yeah.
as long as you can stay in that state.
And to me, one of the best ways to do that is other people.
Yes.
The reason that I believe I ended up where I ended up in life was because I had some of the greatest people in my life who were speaking into me.
Yes.
My parents, my family, all of, the friends that I've talked to, these conversations
Right.
that I've had developed me into this,
Right.
into this person that I am. And like, I want to be that for other people.
Yep.
You know, I want to open the conversation and the platform that someone can talk to me about what they're thinking, you know, what they believe, whether they believe what I believe or not, or the
Absolutely.
exact opposite. You know, you want to open up that conversation and just like, if somebody comes to me saying, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the Bible, I don't believe in any of that, but I want to have a genuine conversation with you and, you know, be genuine.
Yeah.
Like, I respect that person greatly,
100%.
you know, and
1,000,000%.
and that, you know, in turn increases your quality of life.
Absolutely.
You know,
You're looking
and
at
that is the goal, right?
You're looking
We're
at
all
everything
looking
through a positive lens.
Yeah, we're all looking to increase our quality of life in some way, shape, or form. That's human nature. Take the path of least resistance. You know, so you know, if the goal is raise your quality of life, being your genuine self is how to do it.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's a huge factor in that.
Right.
You know, awesome. This was motivational.
This was very motivational.
I feel like being even more genuine to people.
Yeah.
Which is hard.
It is. I mean, but like
keep having conversations with people.
Keep
talking with
the
people.
Conversation going.
Absolutely, all the time.
Do whatever you need to do to get to that positive state, and things are just going to work out for you.
For sure. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next episode.
Adios.